Ready to level up your leadership with a dash of improv and a whole lot of mindfulness? Tune in for some game-changing tips with Erin Deal.
Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Men Talking Mindfulness show. Today we've got Erin Deal in the house, and she's about to flip your leadership game upside down with a mix of improv and some serious mindset magic. Erin's all about helping stressed out leaders chill out, level up, and keep it fun. So get ready for a wild ride through improv, mindfulness, and some seriously cool leadership tips, as Will was saying before we hit record, for the leadership people or the leader people. So, Erin, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with all the people leaders, the leader people. And no, I already feel this. This is going to be mindful and fun. So let's do it. Let's do it.
Exactly. And I'm already feeling embarrassed. So always great to feel embarrassed at the top of the show. It's okay, guys. It's okay. I'll get over it. But what I need to tell our audience, though, is, hey, plug into Men Talking Mindfulness, hit up our website and see what's going on, mentalkingmindfulness.com, or hey, you can simply text 3 MTM to 33777 to get some more information. And one thing you're going to learn if you hit up our site, mentalkingmindfulness.com, is we have a 9-week meditation course coming up this fall. Actually, 2 of them. One's going to start on September 10th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Each week we're going to meet. And the second one's going to kick off on October 6th, which is going to be 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And this course is to help you learn how to learn the practice of meditation, but also help you to get out of your way and arrive at the destination that you keep missing because you're not being more mindful, more calm, more peaceful, and just learning the practice of meditation. So what we do, beginning of the show, we're just going to do one breath, Erin. We're going to take one breath to help ground us into this moment, and then we're going to hear all the wonderful wisdom and all the things that and talk to all leader people out there, and have a great show, right? So before we kick it off, right, before we blast off into leader people land, we're going to just do one breath. Exhale the breath all the way out. Let it go. And as you exhale, maybe feel your feet or deepen into your seat as that you find that exhale. And one big, giant, deep belly breath in. Keep going a little more. A little bit more. Let's hold easy for 3, 2, 1, and exhale out the mouth. And just feel all that energy just shifting and changing, and you melting a little bit deeper into the moment. And awesome. Erin, why don't we just start? Give us a little background, like, improv, leadership, like all the things that make you Erin Deal.
Yes. Okay. First of all, I just love the energy here. I'm so here for it. And also, John was laughing right before we got into the breath work, and I was thinking, this is laughter yoga right now. We're doing laughter yoga, which is a thing.
Yeah, it is.
And I've
actually.
Yeah, isn't it cool? And I got to tell you something. I had the founder of laughter yoga on our show, the Improve It podcast, a year and a half ago. He lives in India. It was I had COVID while I was recording with him, and I'll get into myself in just a moment, but this just made me think about that. And I left that interview just being like, man, I feel so much better. So I love what you're doing. I love that we're infusing fun into your mindfulness practice. And literally, that is my life's purpose, is to help people reach their highest consciousness through play. I use improv as the teaching tool, but for me, it is really about, we all have this higher version of ourselves. We all have the ability to tune in. How I help people tune in, I'm a huge meditator, and I've had a mindfulness practice for about 7 years now.
Nice.
A spiritual practice for about 5. But it was a spiritual awakening for me when I started using improv to help my life. And I use that experience to create Improve It, which is, we are a talent development company for the new generation of work. That's what we say. And a talent development, improv infused talent development company for the new generation of work. And so, yeah, we've been in business 10 years. I've been an improviser for over 15 years, been on stages since I was 3, but I really feel like I'm at the point where I am getting out of my own way and I'm just the vessel. And there, I definitely lived some life in the ego for a little bit and am now really trying to stay in alignment and help as many people as possible just awaken themselves to themselves.
How did you go? How did you make that leap, right? So you're doing improv and you've been on stage since 3, which makes me think I need to get my kids on stage because my little 3-year-old is a crack up. She's just full of energy. So getting her out there might be a release for her, an outlet. But like, how do you make that leap? Most people don't associate improv with leadership. How do you blend those two for the leader people, right?
For the leader people. For the leader people. This is for all the leader people out there. No, that's a really good question.
I'm trying to be as neutral as possible, all right? New leader people.
Yes.
Okay, anyway, sorry.
Well, this is what we call an improv a callback. So we're going to probably, we're calling it back and it's a good thing. We're with you. We're with you on it. So, honestly, improv so I'd always been afraid of it. Honestly, I grew up with a script. I was a dancer from the age of 3 on. I danced collegiately at Clemson University. I was in show choir and in, sketch comedy in high school. And like everything I did had a script and I would memorize it and then I would execute it and put my twist on it. Improv scared the living crap out of me. I honestly, it's like, it is terrifying as a concept. But guess what? I have no clue what's going to come out of my mouth right now. And you have some planned questions, but this is all improv, right? And so we're doing it every day. When we label it, it gets this sort of bad rep. And so for me, it was going through my early career in my 20s, wanting to be a talk show host, honestly, failing miserably at that, and then discovering improv while working at a recruiting firm. And I was doing business development at a recruiting firm. I was terrified of it. Like, it made my armpits sweat so much. I was voted class. Yes, like that, John.
I'm trying
all the people leaders. Yes.
It's 83 degrees up in here, folks.
Relax.
83. Look at me. What the heck is happening?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Dying. Well, we're already showing armpits. I'm here for that. I'm so here for that. But yeah, I mean, when you have sweaty pits and you're nervous, you are supposed to do the thing that scares you, right? So I told myself, this is, exposure therapy. I'm going to keep going to improv class. Well, what happened when I started doing more improv was I started getting really good at my job, which I never thought I was going to do. I never, number one, thought I would be in business development at a recruiting firm. That was not the career trajectory I thought I was going to do. However, I started to realize, okay, well, improv is making me a better listener. It's helping me think more quickly on my feet. I have to be really present in my stage time and on stage and in my rehearsals. So I'm super present in this conversation. And so it really started to spill over into my professional life. And then that's when I made the connection. And I was very lucky because at the time, one of my clients was United Airlines at this recruiting firm. And I had a great relationship with her. We were out to dinner and I told her about this idea for Improve It. And she's like, let's pilot it, pun intended, to my team. And they first didn't pay me. They gave me feedback, which I was appreciative of. And then it led to several more sessions. And then they started hiring me. And so I knew that this work wasn't just me, that it was a team of amazing humans who wanted to help people through the love of the art form that has helped shape them. And so I have a team of 22. We started in Chicago, but we're literally all over the country. And I have a team in Chicago, New York, LA, Charlotte, North Carolina. I live in Charleston, South Carolina, but we travel everywhere and have had I have grown the most personally, professionally all of the things from this work. And I'm so grateful for it. There are days when, sometimes it's hard and it's not the easiest being an entrepreneur, but in those moments, just dig a little deeper because I do know it is my life's purpose.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What are some of those things you learned along the way of like this self-development, like stepping into your out on your own and, leveraging improv as a tool for, leadership and transformation and being more present and, getting out of your way? Like, what are some things that you've learned or actually you see, people picking up, from the work that you're doing with them?
Yeah, such a good question. And it's funny. I can tell you right off the gates. The first one is overcoming failure. One of the sayings that we use in improv is there are no mistakes, only gifts. So if something happens, as on stage, that's a mistake. It's not a mistake. You make it a part of the scene. And so, especially during the pandemic, this was my mantra. I was failing left and right. I mean, literally left and right. And it was what I call the season of my 3 Ps. I was perpetually pivoting. I mean, our business went through, improve it 1.0 to improve it 8.0 in a matter of a year because we were completely in person. We didn't have a digital leg to stand on. My second P was people pleasing, which I was just at the time trying to be everything to everyone. I was a new mom to this like miracle baby boy. My mom had almost died and had a stroke, but I was trying to give in those areas and then give it work to every single person that I could. So I realized through that, like I was failing from the people pleasing. And then the last was pain because I developed chronic pain from all of these sort of lessons. And so failure was a huge lesson for me to overcome. And I will say it kept coming up and coming up and coming up. And so it became what I started to teach. They always say you teach what you need to learn. And so I'm pretty good at failing now. Like no one likes a bragger, but I'm pretty good at it. And I'll tell you, I've been able to work my way through that. And I have a methodology that I teach now that really helps people move on. And it's actually called Move On. And that has really transformed the way that I perceive setbacks. So that's one. I got more, but you tell me where you want me to keep going because I can keep going. That's a big one.
Well, why don't we dive into one thing that I really enjoyed about your story, and I'm really curious about it, and one thing that our community really likes to attach to and understand on a personal level is you talked about chronic pain and people pleasing. Like, what did that look like? How did that show up? What was the experience like? As you move through that.
Man,
I'm so curious.
I mean, thanks for that question. Well, I will tell you, the universe will just continuously give you lessons. It will continuously give you things. And if you don't learn the lesson, it'll just keep coming up and coming up and coming up, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I have done so much inner work on this, and I know the audience listening, for me, I don't know how many chronic people pleasers we have out there, but I am a recovering people pleaser and just will always be in recovery because yes, it is the pattern that I just, my neurotransmitters are like, oh, gotta go back here. I can't, it just happens. And it stems from my childhood. I moved a lot. I was always trying to fit in and be liked. And what got me attention was achieving and being funny, but also being liked and and being kind and just trying to be the most for every person around me. And I think as a people pleaser, what we're really doing is we're giving all of our power and our energy away. We aren't servicing ourselves first. And so for me, what happened during that time, I had never been that version of myself ever. I'd never been a new mom. I had never been a daughter who was helping a mom recover from a stroke. I had never been a business leader in a global pandemic. I had never been a business leader, honestly, with adversity at the time. We were only about 5 or 6 years in business. I had never been a friend to many small business owners who were closing their doors, laying off their teams. I'd never been, a parent who was trying to figure out how to keep my almost 1-year-old safe and not sick. I was literally extending myself. And at the time, if you remember, Zoom was like all the rage. I was connecting with people from high school I hadn't talked to in years. Like people would have a happy hour on Zoom, and so, and it wasn't just that time though. That's just when the pattern just emerged so strongly. And so what happened was I was burying my own emotions and taking on a lot of other people's problems. And so I had chronic pain in my back, like it sat in my shoulders. If I was sitting here talking to you in 2020 and 2021, 2022, I mean, I would be like shifting constantly. It was just constantly in pain. I would go to bed at night just crying because my body was so tense. I bought every ergonomic chair on Wayfair.com that was possible because I'm like, it's definitely my chair. It's definitely the chair I'm sitting in.
Definitely.
And so I actually read this book by Gabor Mate called When the Body Says No. And I was on a red-eye flight coming home from a keynote that just, fun fact, I bombed. It was one of my very first keynotes. And interesting enough, it was about failure. So I was giving myself
thought it was an act.
Yeah, they're like, this is an act. She's just bombing up here for fun. This is an experiment. No, it was real life. And no, it's true though. But it's like, it was so eye-opening to me when I read this book because it was all about how our body stores unprocessed emotions and how our body disease is dis-ease of the body. And so when you have emotions that you haven't processed, how those create just problematic cells in our body that form and create disease and sickness. And so I started really understanding that mind-body connection. And that's when I started doing a lot of my inner work. And these 3 Ps came to life. And I realized that I had unprioritized my life correctly, or I had prioritized my life incorrectly, is the right way to say that. I was literally putting myself at the bottom of every list. And I was angry for a lot of the things that had happened in the 5 years leading up to that experience. I had held it all in for the sake of other people, and it ate me up. It literally, their pain became my pain, and my pain was just sitting there waiting for me to deal with it. And so I truly believe that when our body is telling us something, when it's screaming at us, we've missed the whispers. And if we pay attention to the whispers, then we can allow ourselves to actually process what we need to go through to mitigate the pain that might come following. But it was a really eye-opening experience. And I have another one that happened after that. I'm just going to stop blabbing because it was like the universe saw me see myself in this self-healing journey, heal myself. I actually wrote the transcript for the book that I wrote that was launched in February in a very healed space. And then I guess I really didn't learn the lesson because another one came.
Well, we'll talk about that here in a second. And, I know you said you wrote about it in your book. I just want to put a quick plug out for you. Your book is I See You, and we'll talk about why you wrote that and kind of what you hope your audience is going to get out of that here in a bit. But 2 things kind of bubbled up to my mind when you were just talking. One, the self-care piece. You put yourself last. And I want to talk about why self-care is so important, not just for you as a person, which we all know it is, but it's also essential for being that kick-ass leader person, for the leader people.
Leader person, leader people.
We're creating a new term here, guys. We're creating a new term, leader people.
So that's one piece. But then, and if I need to ask this again here in a second, I will, but because I'm kind of overloading you here. But you talked a lot about basically taking on other people's feelings, which is empathy, right?
Empathic distress.
Yeah.
But when you get really deep.
You talk about radical empathy. in leadership. So how do you use radical empathy without that? What did you call it, Will? Radical distress,
empathic distress is when you're like when you drop down in the hole that somebody's already in and you're taking in all their feelings. Empathic distress. Yeah.
Right. So there you go. So 2.5 questions for you. And if you need me to go back and ask them.
Yes. No, I love these. I love empathic distress. I love I don't love empathic distress, but I love that term because it's such a perfect way to describe that. But I'll start with why myself was at the bottom of that list, because truly, I thought that rest was something that I thought if I wasn't busy, that I was lazy. I thought rest was unproductive. I never saw rest as a priority in my life. So that was number one. And then what happened was I had to really understand why giving to me first mattered so much. So y'all are spiritual, right? I can take you through a little journey. Okay. All right. So here's a story that I feel called to tell, and hopefully this will help somebody listening here today. I was really, really low when I was going through this pain. Pain does something to you where you're just, you get a low vibration, right? And I was in such a low vibe to a point, not only did my upper back hurt really bad, I had thrown out my lower back. My husband found me laying in the bathroom, crying one day, screaming, "I'm broken. I am broken." And wow. I hit a really low, and it was almost like a healing cocoon. I'm a very social human. I didn't really want to do anything. I didn't want to see anyone. I wanted to just be in my own space and really listen to what guidance was coming towards me. Interesting enough, I had a Facebook message sent to me from a family member on my husband's side, and I showed this message to my father-in-law, and I said, well, hey, we'll call her Susan. I said, Susan reached out to me on Facebook, and he goes, well, that's not possible. Susan died 2 years ago.
Whoa.
So I sat with that. And something called me to go into a meditation. And through the meditation, not only did Susan appear, but Susan's sister appeared, who was another loved one in my extended family. And we'll call her Sally, just protecting my family's names here. Sally had taken her own life.
Oh, my goodness.
Many years ago. And why she did that was because she never gave to herself. She gave it all to her kids. She took care of everyone but herself last, right? And she said to me, and this was after I had been doing my own healing work, I'm going to help you heal. And after we heal, we are going to write this book, and we are going to write it now for the busy, stressed out leader people who is giving to everyone in their life except themselves. For the person who is a chronic overachiever perfectionist who thinks that the only way that they can be seen is through those accolades. For the person who needs the reminder that they are the priority, and that through being themselves being the priority, they have so much more to give. Mm-hmm. And they're going to give selflessly. And through that, they're going to attract the people, the organizations, the communities of their dreams. And so I kid you not that I had many meditations hearing from this loved one. I would wake up every morning. I would meditate. And I wouldn't necessarily talk to her every day, but I would just get myself centered and in a good place. I would get up before my family, go sit in my office, get a coffee, and I would write for an hour. Nice. And I kid you not that book was not me.
Wow.
It was written through an extended power to help people who were in my situation. And listen, I've had setbacks. The book's been out since February. I wrote it 2 years ago. Like, I recently was in a low vibration, out of alignment, and I realized through another experience through Reiki that the reason I also wrote the book, it's called I See You, it was the reminder that I will always need for myself to get back in alignment, to come home and come back to self-care and self-love, because it really isn't selfish. So that in itself, like that right there is what picked me up off that floor and helped me put one foot in front of the other and realize that the more time that I spent giving to me, to bringing joy to me, that I had so much more joy to give outwardly. And that affected my team and my family and my friends. And it wasn't this easy process. I'm not sitting here today being like, it was so easy. I went to therapy and then I was healed. Like, it was hard work. I did a lot of the work myself. I do have a therapist. I did craniosacral therapy, Reiki, meditation, journaling. I experimented with a lot of healing modalities, but ultimately it was the inner work that I did, I think, that brought me back to alignment. And I will tell you this, once I healed myself without surgery, without medication, I was free of pain.
Wow. Incredible.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing to hear you get that support from the divine. I mean, it's I heard that you've heard of the Course of Miracles?
Oh yeah.
Same deal. The writer was just like, it was just channeling whatever was, communicating with the author of Course of Miracles, and just writing it out. And here you are having the same experience, and it sounds like a very spiritual book, especially like what you're actually, I see you, and what you're putting into the book it's moving, and like improv and waking up to yourself and being more mindful is like an energetic and spiritual experience, because you really begin to understand yourself, right? Because you got to see yourself, and then to get that deeper understanding. And then it must be such a gift to know, that you're connected to something greater than yourself. That's what really keeps John and I flowing together with this show, because we have a wonderful community that we're connecting to, that's continually connecting with us. And it's just like this ongoing, like, give and receive kind of experience that, has its own divine nature that John, I think it's like the unity of the two of us, me and you, John, like, we create this higher vibration that, attracts, kind of tells us where to go sometimes. It's beautiful. I'm so thank you for sharing that with us. It's really nice.
Yes. And congrats to you both. That is huge. And I am, it's so wonderful. You said the give and receive, like, you're putting so much work into this show and giving to your community, and they're receiving it, but you receive that love right back when you hear from them and how it's impacted your life. Yeah.
Big time. Love it. It's so energizing for the body, but also for the soul. So for our audience out there, for our community rather, thank you. And we're not going to wrap up the show there. Don't worry.
No.
But I want to come back to that radical empathy, right? And how do we keep from getting into that empathetic distress?
Empathic distress.
Man, why do I?
That's okay. Sorry, John.
Empathetic.
That's okay. I got you, John. I got you. I can't talk about leaders properly, but I can fucking talk about empathy. Okay. Yeah.
Empathetic distress. People, leaders, listen up. Okay, leader people. Okay, so this, I got deep in my story there, but I meant to circle back to this one. I will tell you, there's a part of the book that I define vibes, right? So I call it, if you imagine VIBES, you're a very important believer in energetic significance. Okay. And so
like it.
Thank you. And truly, What I mean when I say vibes is you believe that energy is currency. And so when you are in a situation as an empath, which I feel like we all are on this show and everyone listening is on this show because we care about people and we are leader peoples and we want to make the world a better place.
It doesn't stop.
So it's funny. It doesn't stop. But it's also so beautiful because we care so much. A lot of times we take on the energy of other people, right?
Right.
I am let me just say this. I got a couple of people in my life going through it right now, and I think about them, and then my energy shifts, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. I have to hold a higher consciousness so I can be helpful to the greater collective, and hopefully when such and such gets out of this, they'll be able to be a vibrational match as well. They're just not there right now. So I talk about something called protecting your vibes. And it's almost as if you're going into a conversation with somebody who is going through some type of situation, whether it's a divorce, whether it's depression, whether it's a mental illness, whatever it might be. And you feel your energetic vibrations start to shift. And you can feel this in many ways. You can feel this in a shift in your body language. You might start to slump a little more, or you might start to cross your arms, or you might, start to feel shifts in your body that make you feel as if this is happening to you. That's what happens to me when I'm super empathic. I just start to feel like, oh my gosh, this is happening to her. It's happening to me. So what I do is I imagine myself putting on this giant cape. And I always encourage people to make the cape whatever your favorite color is. And my life color is teal. So I got on this teal cape. Yes, she's a good lady. And so you put the teal cape on. She puts on her teal cape, and she can't feel your vibes. But what you're telling yourself, you're setting an intention that this cape is signifying that I am protecting myself. It's almost like a shield of energy, and I'm wearing this cloak. And when I wrap myself in this cloak, I am protecting my own energy. And what you're doing in that moment is really just signaling the universe that you are here to help heal this person or to be a resource or an ear, but you're not here to take it on. And this happens in one-on-one conversations. If you're largely empathic and you're listening and you're a facilitator or a speaker, I go in rooms of hundreds of people and I can get myself out of alignment pretty quickly by not protecting myself. So I always, before I walk into a room, just do sort of an energetic moment in a bathroom. I always power pose. Yep. And then I wrap myself with this teal cloak. It says Energy You on the back. That's how I picture it. And I just wrap myself in it and I walk in and I just ask, please help me hold my own energy, channel whatever is supposed to come through for this audience here today. Help me hold space for them, but not take it on. Yeah. And it really is helped me a lot. I don't remember to do it every time. And in those times, I got to tell you, I was on the road a lot in February and March. That was when the book launched and I was just doing a ton of talks and my pain came right back.
Oh, wow.
Wow. There you go.
Exactly where it was. And I realized I was just trying to be everything to everyone, doing too much. And I had taken on a lot of the energy that I felt in those rooms.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And one thing, I have a intuitive coach actually, and one thing he told me was, this sounds silly, but after your event, before you go to bed, take a shower and physically say, as you're in the shower, I am releasing the energy of this day. I am releasing any energy that is not mine. Oh, wow. Because he does the same thing. He's coaching clients all day. And so there's a lot to unpack with him. So he does it too. Or he's like, if you can't take a shower after you talk or speak to a room, go wash your hands and clear the energy.
Rinse the energy off.
Yeah.
I love it.
So, yeah, those two things have been really helpful as well.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Let's since we're kind of talking about the cape, right? And all kind of envision superheroes. in your write-up and what we've done, the research that we've done on you, you talk about maximizing energy, which kind of sounds like a superhero skill. What's one go-to method that you could share with our audience, with our community, to keep that energy flowing? Especially, like you said, you're that people pleaser, and in being a people pleaser, you want to be perfect at everything. We actually had an episode last week on perfection and the perfection trap. But in being that people pleaser, you also want to do so many things. So you're juggling these balls, spinning these plates, whatever you want to call it. How do you keep that energy flowing when you've got all these things going on?
Oh, that is a great question. And I got to tell you, I'm sitting here just thinking, which exercise do I want to take you through? Because I have a few. I really do. Great. And I will, one of them that is not in the book, which is sort of new to me, is something I created called the 4 Ps that I'd love to share with you and your peeps, because this helps me a lot, especially if I need to have some type of decision-making clarity, and should I give energy to this project, or should I give energy to this event, right? So for me, a lot of distress comes when people ask me to do things that aren't super aligned with what we do, or they ask me to do it at a very discounted rate or for free. As a speaker, sometimes that happens. You know what I'm talking about. So I created a 4 Ps process for that. And this can be interchanged socially as well. So if you feel like you're saying yes to a lot of networking events, or you're committing to too many things with family and friends and you're not giving space for you, this list can also be condensed for that. So it's called the 4 Ps, right? So you're like, should I give energy to this situation? The first is, does it bring me peace? I love acronyms and like alliteration. So this is number 1.
So you had 3 Ps.
Okay.
Now we're on to the 4 Ps.
Now we have 4 Ps. This is the 4 Ps for decision-making clarity. Okay. 4 Ps for decision-making clarity, but it's peace. Does it bring me peace? If the answer is no, you're automatically not going to do it, right? Like, that's just a no. If it's a yes, or maybe you go to step 2, which, does it align with my if it's a working event, am I getting paid fairly? Or am I paying a fair price? That's number 2. And then number 3, if the answer is yes, you go to your priorities. Does it align with my priorities? And knowing those priorities is a whole other conversation, but most people know their priorities, right? And number 4 is, does it align with my purpose? And that's another question that you need to know the answer to. But if you don't answer yes to peace, and if it's a working scenario and you're not getting paid or paid fairly, then just don't even go to step 3 or 4. But I've used that. Yeah, I've used that flow chart for so many things as they've come up, because we get asked as humans to do so many things, and you only have so many hours and so much energy to give. So for me, that's a really cut and dry way of understanding if I want to give energy to something, because you can't, we all know those things. You can't pour from an empty, you can't pour into somebody's cup if your tea kettle is empty. Put on your own oxygen masks first. Those are very cliche, but like, I've said yes to a lot of commitments where, number 1, I knew in my gut I shouldn't have done it. Like, my gut was screaming, I didn't listen to the piece. Because when you're like, okay, do I want to do this? And you get a little ping. It's like, yeah, that feels good, or oh, that feels awkward. Oh, yeah. If you lean into the awkward, there's probably a reason. And then you go to the next step. If there is awkward, you're like, well, maybe I could do this. And then the person is like, well, I can only pay you half price. Well, that doesn't feel good. And that's taking away an opportunity from a client that I know will value my worth. Right. And so that has really helped me maintain my energy and give energy to the right things, because we could join 800 associations. We could go all over the place talking and doing our work. And I want to serve as many people as possible, but I don't want to do that at the compromise of my peace and mental health.
Yeah, and you could throw some of the other P's that you had in there before. The people pleasing. Are you doing this just to be a people pleaser? And obviously, if you are, then that's not going to feel like you're at peace. Yeah. But it's very easy to fall into that trap, and you start to justify it too. You're like, well, if I do this event, maybe there'll be somebody in the crowd that wants to see me, who's going to pay me, and more often that doesn't happen. But yeah, it's oh my gosh, it's now 90 degrees up in here. I don't know why.
Yeah. No, so it's armpit track, armpit wellness track. Yes.
Yeah, I'm good. Look at I'm good. See,
I'm sweating. I'm good. I'm dying.
Yes.
Well, let's use one of the other P's. Well, we're not going to really pivot, but we're going to. So I love that you talked about how it's necessary to understand where you're putting your energy. Like that's very important. And it's a great question. Like, does this bring me peace? Or does this like sit with me and who I am and where I want to go and things I want to do? Like, great first question to ask, because if it doesn't, like, the whole thing can just turn into a train wreck because you're compromising, yourself in that regard. And again, putting the mask on first. And this is a great like mask on first kind of recipe that you laid out. So thank you for that. But what about boosting your energy? Like a lot of people, especially, can get low energy as I don't know what kind of work people are doing out there, especially leader people, maybe you're not, but what can we do in that regard to boost our energy? Like we're kind of feeling a little sluggish or whatever. We just want to kind of shift our mindset in some ways. Like what are things we can do to boost our energy?
Yes. Oh, okay. I love this question. This is another abbrev for you, or another acronym.
Your breathing abbreviation.
I'm a breathing abbreviation. I got X on acronyms.
I love it.
I got more. So, okay, that feeling of like I have given so much, I have nothing left to give. My husband calls it burning the candle, which most people call it that. But I'll come home. He's like, that candy is burning. Like he'll just know. Like he'll just look at me. He's like, candy's burning.
And he's abbreviating.
And I used candle. He's abbreviating as well. It's a part of the deal.
Oh my
Get
God.
It?
Yeah.
Get it?
Obviously.
That sounds so
okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So, but no, he will say your candle is low, and everybody knows that feeling. It's almost like you just want to face plant on your bed with your clothes on, and you just want to lay there for like 2 days. Like you have nothing left, right? So I always say, here's another one. I want you to have what I call, if your candle is burning, big wick energy. I said wick, and I said big wick energy. And this is something we call.
Second to get that.
And, yeah.
I got it. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Tell me about your big wick, Erin.
I got big wick energy all day. All right. It's a done deal. So here's how you can keep the wick strong. Okay. It's called an LSD day. And so you're preventing burnout before it starts. Now, this is not a drug. Y'all had no clue what you were doing inviting me on this show, did you?
No,
I'm so sorry. Okay. This is wild. It's not a drug. If you're in HR, keep listening. Okay. So it is called a Lightsaver Day. We call it an LSD day at Improve It for short. And we're just like, I'm going on LSD. So it's a Lightsaver Day. And what it means is you have scheduled a day in your calendar just for you. The kids are still at school. You have, you're child free. You're not working. But you are scheduling this day in your calendar to give to you. It could be whatever makes you happy. If it's fishing, if it's thrifting, if it's shopping at Home Goods, whatever it is, you put that on a weekday on your calendar. And you block it out so your team knows what you're doing. So we make it a practice here. We go on LSD. And what happens is you have to not check email. You can't check in.
Oh, wow.
You literally give to you. And you have to take one picture of just anything. It doesn't have to be of you, but just one picture of what's happening during that day. And then share it when you get back just to say, hey, here's how I unwind. And this is what I love doing. And what that does is it reinforces the team to continue to take their days, their LSD days. And so that practice was really big for us in 2023 and 2022 because, we had an open vacation policy at the time. People weren't really taking vacation, and we made it mandatory that you need to take one LSD day a month at a minimum. And that has really been a great asset in terms of making people feel like it's important to give to yourself, taking time outside of work to do things you love, sharing that, communicating it, and just creating that ripple effect so other people remember to do it too.
Beautiful.
And that big wick energy will stay strong.
I'm feeling that big wick. That's keep that wick strong.
It's a big wick. It's a big wick. Big wick energy.
I want to make sure. So it was light saver, SAV, like as in Victor. Because at first, when you said it, I thought you said lightsaber. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not Star Wars.
Darth Vader
no, saver. Yes.
Spaceballs. I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
I was going to say, I see your Schwartz is as big. What happened to this show?
Oh, right.
What happened to this show?
We got off the rails. We derailed. It happened, and it's great. It's magical. This is magic.
It is.
That lightsaber day, you mentioned, hey, these are weekdays, the kids are at school. And as a parent myself, and my wife's obviously a parent as well, that's where I struggle, right? I'm like, oh, my kids are at school. I should be working. I should be taking this time to provide, right? Or set myself up to provide, especially, and we've talked about this on the show, that these aren't your only roles as a male, but that's typically what society views you as the provider and the protector. But let's talk about two more P's, parenthood and perspective. Like how does...
Very good, John. Very good.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks.
Very
got
good.
this improv down, basically.
I know.
Yes.
What the hell?
Yes.
So that parenthood and perspective, becoming starting a family, that's a game changer. So how did becoming a parent for you kind of, one, how do you use improv as a parent? And then two, how did that shake up your view on leadership? And seeing all these leader people who are also parents.
Yes. Okay. Oh my God. I love this question. I have more P's. I have so many more P's, but I also want to just say something interesting because when you said the kids are at school, I feel like I should be providing or working and providing. That is exactly what my husband would think. And I think, what I think? I'm like, okay, the kids are at school. And I just have one kid. So Jackson's at school and I know he's going to get off early. And instead of letting him go to after school, I should go pick him up. Like I have guilt that he's at school and I am not working or I'm not doing something to develop him or help him. Like mine is more guilt that I'm not working, so I should be with him. Mm-hmm. That's my guilt. And it's just interesting, that dynamic. So, okay, on top of this, every month my team and I have what we just call it our monthly meeting. And we set a one-word intention for the month. And we talk about the intention from the month before. Did we achieve it? And it's always just a one-word intention. And every month it's different. It's just, we don't plan it in advance. It's just what's happening in our lives right now. And it's a word that's intention with attention to what's going on in our lives at the time. For me, just to give you like a little side story, my son is 5. He is a miracle baby. He is legit. Like, we're so grateful he is in our lives. And he started kindergarten yesterday.
Oh, my!
And so,
congratulations!
Yes. Thank you. And so I have had so many feels, and it's just like, I knew I would, but I'm having them. So I actually took yesterday off, and my word for the month of August is you can hyphenate. Okay. So I got a couple ones, and shocking, it's P. It's P. Presence in priorities. And I know my priorities, which I'm the top of the list. And then there's Jackson. And I know this is awful, but then there's my husband. And then and he knows that. He knows that. But I mean, it's like, I got to make sure I'm Karen, and then you get the next care. And then everybody is my family and like our inner circle and my team are all sort of like here. And once like that trajectory is met, then I can handle anything else. But like, I need to make sure all of these needs are met first. Right. And so for me, it's really being present with him. So I took yesterday off, which I would have never done. Like old me would never have done. I would just send him off and been like crying at my desk at work, but still working. And I took the day off and he was at school. And I was like feeling my feels. And I got some things done around here, but I didn't feel guilty that I was not working. I felt so happy that I was allowing myself the time to process, which is a very big milestone in my life. So for me, overcoming mom guilt was like a huge thing. That was, loop that in with the people pleasing, right?
Yeah.
And I used to travel a lot more. Now I travel less frequently, but when I was traveling, I was so like, I would beat myself up, man, about not being with him. And then as a working parent, working mom, for me, it was really hard because like, I love what I do so much. And I think I'm a better mom because I work, but I also missed him and wanted to be with him. So I now know where the priorities lie. And I feel for me, was very interesting parenting a 5-year-old. I do see a lot of similarities in just coaching my team. And to just sum it up, yesterday, I mean, I've coached him for 5 years, and then I had to like watch him spread his wings and fly. And you can't hover over a person on your team forever. Right. And you gotta give them the tools and then just let them go. And that was one of the hardest things. And so yesterday we got to walk them to the classroom. Today we just got to walk them to like the bus stop, and then they had to walk in on their own and go to their classroom. That was worse. That was way worse for me. And he just kept and waving and like I was just like sobbing, and my neighbor was next to me and I just sobbed in her arms. But it's a real testament to, we can coach people and give them the tools, and it starts first with coaching ourselves, right? You have to coach yourself. You have to be in a good place in order to coach the people that you lead. And then you have to give them the tools and then step back. And that right there, like leading into my intention too, of just being present with my priorities. I was present for all of that.
There you go. Yeah. And I just went through the same thing this morning. My little boy's 5 as well, and he started this morning. And I wasn't able to drop him off, but my wife did, and she took pictures. And my oldest daughter is 7, so she started 2nd grade. And the two of them walked into school together. And my oldest daughter is so excited to walk my little boy into school. So she, like yesterday, she's like, I can't wait to take, I don't like to mention my kids' names, but I can't wait to take him into class. So anyway, there was one other thing there. Well, now it's going to fall flat because I have to, hey, there's one other thing, but it's a joke. I was going to say, hey, you really took yesterday off to plan for today's show.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Proper prioritization. Well, it was my priorities, my presence.
That's right.
Without yesterday, I would not have this energy.
Yeah, the power. Mm-hmm.
Power. Yeah. Lots of people leave.
Lots of peace.
Just call this episode "The Power of Peace."
For real.
What is it about?
Yeah,
what is it?
Intrigue there.
What is it?
Well, I mean, you mentioned providing tools for people that you work with, and I love that you're doing that in the world. And I actually was watching some of your videos, and I love your dynamic presence on stage and how you're getting people up to move and say things. And you have 35,000 people. One of your greatest accomplishment, 35,000 people doing a chicken dance. So I mean, congrats on that. So
I'm gonna have to go back.
Well, I know I fucking love that. Really, really cool. I mean, Erin, what you're putting out in the world, we need more of it because it's just not so cookie cutter like it can always be. It's like you really bring a lot of fun and enthusiasm, authenticity, and it requires vulnerability and all the wonderful things that really light us up as people. So what are some of the tools that you use, to calm people down, to wake people up, to find that authenticity inside of them to overcome their fear. I know I'm like, just how do you fucking fix people, Erin, is what I'm saying.
How do you fucking fix people?
Yeah, in the leader people world. Yeah.
In the later people. So how do I fucking fix the later people? Well, okay.
That's more alliteration right there.
That's alliteration. So I have so many tools. Like, I don't even know where to start, but I can say this. Here's how I narrow them down. I can try to narrow
or the core ones. So, go for it.
The core ones. So we created Improve It, honestly, out of 6 needs that I thought I needed out of my own career. And that was, I needed to be a better collaborator. So we created team building, an effective communicator. I needed to learn to think more quickly on my feet. That's another one. I need to take initiative and creative risks. I needed to become a better networker and a better presenter. Those were the things those are 6 different offerings that we teach. And then as we started teaching them, people would ask like, oh, do you have something for early career interns? So we created an intern workshop. Do you have something for my sales team? We created a sales workshop. Do you have something to help us with our vision setting? Oh yeah, we'll do a vision setting workshop. And then the last one is, what am I missing? Leadership. Do you have something for emerging leaders? So how we narrow down what a client's pain point is. And we always want to be a painkiller, not a vitamin. Because you could look at what we do as a vitamin, like, no, we are coming in to help your team with a specific issue. And so it's almost like a intake at a doctor's office is how I would equate our discovery calls. Is I tell the person, I'm going to take so many notes. I'm going to ask you so many questions. It's almost like therapy for that person, because I'm asking them, what is the challenge that you're seeing on the day-to-day? What is the thing that keeps you up at night? If you could fix anything on your team, what would it be? And so, I hear a lot of the same things. Collaboration is low, especially in hybrid work environments. I also hear from individuals who have imposter syndrome and they don't know how to get ahead of their career. When I talk about people pleasing, there's like a room full of people that stand up, right? Like that's another issue. And so the content that we create is based on the pain of the people that we serve. And then within that content, we do a 2-hour session. If it's a workshop, I do an hour keynote, but I get out of the way. I teach, and then I let the people do what I ask, essentially the exercise that is leading them to the change that they've hired us to help them fix, right? So there's so many different improv-based activities that allow people to transform through play. It's experiential. So instead of me standing in front of a room with a PowerPoint telling you how to be a better listener or collaborate better or get over imposter syndrome, you're going to stand up and you're going to get a partner. And maybe it's going to be a small group. And you're going to do something that's going to lead to a feeling in your body. And you're not going to remember what I taught you. You're just going to remember how we made you feel. Right. And in that feeling will come up the next time you're feeling imposter syndrome or you're feeling less confident. You have a memory for your body to go back to call in, to allow you in that moment to change your thought pattern. And so it's through doing that we help fix people leaders, people. And we just help them learn. And what I also infuse and what my team infuses, because I don't do a lot of the workshops anymore, I do more of the keynotes. What my team and I do together is we infuse everything through this lens of fun and joy. So we're almost like tricking people into learning because they're having such a great experience. They have no clue that like we're actually processing some things here. And it really transforms the way people enter, and then the way people leave rooms are completely different. And it's so magical to watch. It's just bringing out your inner child is really, I'm just helping your inner child. That's what we're doing. But if your kids, right? Like you watch them play all day and they have no filter. They don't care what people think. They're just doing. And that's that is the magic of improv, is we lose that judgment of ourselves, which is so important. And then we lose the judgment of others. And through that, we find our authentic self. That's it. All of that to say, I could have just said that, but yeah.
No, well, I mean, I love the experiential aspect. I mean, it's so important for people, instead of just listening and trying to receive information, from a PowerPoint like you're talking about, to get up, do something, feel, right? That's it. Like, we're feeling beings, and we have those feelings. We can, maybe begin to process them in a new way, or just kind of, observe them and then work through them. I mean, it's just, that's like, I'm a big fan of experiential learning, because it's really the best way to learn.
Yeah, John. Totally. Levels the hierarchy. Like, if you go in to teach a class, and you've got, the president of the company, the vice president, the CEO, and then you've got like the mail boy. But when they all stand up and do the chicken or whatever it was, hey, that levels it real quick, right? It's like taking, in the military, sometimes we have meetings and we're like, hey, we don't actually do this, but we're like, hey, let's take rank off and level the playing field. But that's like, that's doing it right there for the corporate.
Yes.
So I think
I love you said that. That is so spot on. And I always, just with that, encourage leaders to do this with their team. They will learn more in those 2 hours than they will learn in any Zoom meeting, any meeting that they have throughout the day. They will hear more. They will get actual feedback from the people, and then their team will not only react because you're putting yourself in a vulnerable place, but they'll connect with you on a deeper level.
Right. Yeah, and the whole team will connect more effectively. I mean, it's such a big, when you really, I mean, that's like when you bring forth that authenticity. And authenticity apparently is the highest ranking frequency that we can take on as human beings, right? And because we just we're all waiting for it almost, because when we feel it, it's just like, oh, I see you, you see me, and like that's your book, right? I see you, right? And that's what it takes. That's what it takes, to really connect and bond and create, meaningful and do meaningful work, is like through those wonderful connections. Excellent, that's right. Excellent. Well, we're kind of coming to a close. What about some everyday improv things that maybe we can do to kind of get out of our way and feel more of our authentic self and express ourselves more authentically?
I love it.
Overcome imposter syndrome and stress and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, this is a good one. All right. This is called, so there's an activity we do in improv called New Choice. And New Choice is an activity usually that's on an improv stage, and a director is shouting out new choice, and you have to change the choice that you just made in the scene. I apply this to the stage of your life. And the good news is you don't need a stage or a scene partner, because the scene partner is your mind. That's your mind. Being blown. Yes. Okay. So it's this easy. It's so easy. John, what is a limiting belief that you've told yourself today? You may not have said it out loud, but you've thought it.
That I'm not sticking to my diet and workout plan.
Okay, so perfect. You hold that limiting belief. That's step one. You recognize the limiting belief. Step two, you're just going to say, I forgive myself, because we're human and we all have these negative limiting beliefs that pop in our head. So just tell yourself, I forgive myself.
I forgive myself.
And then step three, you're going to reframe that limiting belief with a more kind, loving thought instead. So instead of, I haven't been sticking to my diet as well as I would like, what could you say instead?
I don't want to give myself excuses, right? It's still a kind, loving thought. I may have fallen off my diet and workout plan, but that doesn't mean that I can't get back on. So I don't know.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So
Will's laughing in the background because he's like, John has been on this diet workout plan as long as I.
Well, last week we did an episode on the perfection trap, Erin, and John was like, "Well, if I don't do my fucking diet and workout regimen perfect, I go and eat a bucket full of fried chicken, pizza, and fucking one giant beer." And I was like,
I love it. Well, But okay, wait, Will. So, and then for you too, Will, what's one for you? Because I forgot to say new choice. So what is the limiting belief for you?
Will?
Oh, my limiting belief. That today that I'm going to not do the sales call that I promised that myself I'd do today. That's
right. Okay,
yeah,
so
that's my limiting beliefs. Yeah.
That's it. So you clap and you say new choice, and you don't have to do that out loud. It could be something you just clap with your hands underneath your desk. Okay.
I'm gonna fully do this.
Immerse. Okay.
Oh, I gotta clap. And I'm gonna kick ass on all the sales calls I'm gonna make today.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
That's it. And so it's reframing,
new choice.
Right? It's literally
new
reframing
choice.
it with a new choice.
Yeah.
New choice.
I feel better.
So like, right. Well, and it comes as like it's a pattern that literally you can continuously do. I found myself today being like, oh, same kind of a deal. I don't want to have to prospect this afternoon, but I got to, right? And I'm like, okay, I don't really want to do that, but I'm like, new choice. No, I'm going to put on a kick-ass playlist. I'm going to pop myself some popcorn. I'm going to sit downstairs in front of my window, and I'm going to kick ass on prospecting today. That's what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
And it just reframes it. And in that reframe, I really truly believe your thoughts affect your words, and then your words affect your actions, and your actions are your habits and your life. And so it's a really quick exercise that you can do to change those vibes. And we know that's a very important believer in energetic significance. So just doing that multiple times, you start to go into a different thought pattern. The more, and it's not toxic positivity.
Right.
It is reframing. Because even John, when you said, I'm not going to like give myself excuses, but you're giving yourself a better, healthier choice than I'm not sticking to my diet. I'm going to go eat a bunch of yo-yos. Yes. So it's literally helping yourself just get into a higher vibration, and then once you can do that, things just start to flow.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a clap, and then reframe, not reframe. What's the word we're doing?
New choice. But you also need to forgive yourself. So step 1 is clap, new choice.
Okay.
Forgive, and then reframe. Step 3.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. And it's in the moment. Again, it's just nice.
Yes.
It's in the moment. and I think I like it that it's active too, because it's like literally, instead of it just being like a whole thought process, bring the body in, bring more energy into the body, by making that clap. That forgiveness is obvious, is very, very important. It's just an exercise in self-compassion as well, and realize that you're suffering and then pulling yourself out of it. So
that's it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Erin.
Nailed
Thank
it.
You.
Couldn't
Thank
it
you.
said it better myself. I love it. For the people leaders out there. We are crushing it for you today.
Thanks. We are.
And this has been awesome. I think I'll tell you what, I think that's the closing practice right there, Will. Hey, choice, right? New choice. So for all our community out there, think about something that you are kind of limiting yourself through a limiting belief. Do that, clap, new choice, forgive yourself, and reframe. We got some cognitive behavioral therapy going on.
Yeah, right? Like legit.
CBT, awesome. Yes, CBT. I know. And it all intertwines. It really does. I think that improv is therapy. I really do. And I do want to bring my mindfulness work to improv at some point in time. I'm not sure yet how to do that. I'm going to do it.
Please let us know. We want to see it. We want to share it with our community. And talking about sharing stuff with our community, we want to share your book. What else would you like to share that we haven't shared for our community?
Well, you're amazing. Thank you so much. And New Choice is an activity in the book, too. Nice. So you can get the step-by-step and just hear more in depth about it there. But this is exciting. I'm having John and Will on my podcast, the Improve It podcast. So come check that out. We are just anywhere you listen to pods. And then I would say, just to find all the things, my website, it's ErinDeal.com is probably the easiest way. And I would love to hear from your audience what stood out to them and what they're going to put in practice from today. Awesome. I think that's we can talk, but you got to walk,
There you go. And hey, if you're listening on Spotify, you can actually comment now, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can comment as well. Yeah. It's a new thing.
I didn't know that.
So check that out.
Thing. Okay. Better check my comments.
What's all of this about?
Okay.
So if you are listening or watching and you heard Erin just ask that question, hey, go and comment so we can share that with her when we go on her show in 3 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks from today. So
yes,
looking forward
I'm
to it.
so excited.
Yeah. And definitely check out the book. I See You. Get on that site, ErinDeal.com, and that's DIEHL, Deal. If you didn't see that already when you started listening to the show. But hey, that's all we got here today. If we're going to wrap up with that as the closing practice, but we want to thank you, Erin, for being here with us today. Yeah. Phenomenal, so much fun. I laughed my butt off. I don't know. At one point, I was leaning over laughing. It's so freaking funny.
You have a contagious laugh, by the way. It's really funny.
Yeah, he does.
It's very funny.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because one time I went to a bar and I had a girl that I was trying to talk to, and she was like, "Your laugh is so annoying." I was like, "I like that." So anyway,
I love that. Well, your wife with the love of teal loves it. That's all that matters.
Exactly. So hey, thanks, Erin. Been a blast. And for our community, for our audience, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing what it is we do and what Erin's doing. We appreciate you. Will, I'll turn it over to you to wrap it up in a bow.
No, just more thanks and more appreciation, Erin, for what you're putting out in the world, for sharing your wisdom and your journey. Like, your journey was really, what you learned about that pain, it's changed your life. It's great to hear that. And it's great for people to, listen to that, because you can make a difference. If you're in chronic pain, or you're dealing with like any kind of imposter syndrome or something like that, like, you can change. And, absorbing and reading Erin's books and putting her practices into practice and, getting experiential, like, it's all possible. So you just got to kind of shake it up sometimes. And Erin, we really shook it up today. Like, lots of laughter. I never used so many fucking P's in my life, and I'm never going to, look at any, P as like, I'm going to always be laughing every time I say a P word, or even maybe every time I actually go pee, I'll be like, God damn, dude.
There's so many show titles available to you, and the piece, the lid, the fucking pace. Just call it that. Just fucking
I think we're going to call it the Big Wick energy.
The Big Wick energy. Yeah. Get to your Big Wick energy.
Well, thank you. And I love what, can I say this? I love what you both are doing, and I'm so grateful that you exist. And I'm going to have my husband tune into the show. Please. I really appreciate what you put out and the energy that you're bringing to the greater collective here, because it's really important to talk about things that you're bringing up on this show, because a lot of men don't. And I think that holding in is what leads to dis-ease and chronic pain. So kudos to you both for helping the greater collective, being awesome, vulnerable humans. I can't wait to have you on the Improve It podcast.
Thank you
truly
so much, Erin. It's been a pleasure. Awesome for you and for our audience. Until next time, take care. Peace.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you walk away with some new tools and insights to guide you on your life journey. New episodes are being published every week, so please join us again for some meaningful discussion. For more information, please check out mentalkingmindfulness.com.